Well, back in April, I went to the doctor, and I gave him the blood, whatever the blood lab work was, and he said I had a situation with my kidneys that were low functioning, but I've heard that for 15 years. And I was hoping that would be an April Fool thing. But that week, Nancy Ann also went to the same doctor, and he explained her the situation. And when you explain the situation to Nancy Ann, she takes things into her hands, and things happen. You know, what surprises me is that the doctor saw something that I couldn't see and I didn't feel. And I'm very glad that I didn't feel it. And he's trying to help me get to the place where I won't have to feel it. And I feel fine. I have no symptoms. But the blood work still shows that the kidney function is low. And so I'm under the doctor's care. And for the next couple of months, he's going to be watching and checking me. And I'm happy to be at Sunlight today. It's good to be here. I was thinking, for 50 years, I've been taking a passage of Scripture, I wake up with it, work it during the year, the week, and each day. And I know I've got another 50 years worth of material. So I just keep tapping into it. Turn to the 8th chapter of Mark. My comments will come from that chapter. I'd like to open up the discussion this morning by telling you we live in a society that is high-tech and high-speed internet, because it's the sign of progress. We think that that is the sign of progress. You've got to move. Our trains, our planes, our cars need to go faster. Slowpokes get off the side of the road because we're making progress and we keep on moving. And it's nice, you know, it is nice to have things done quickly. But nobody really can compare to how quick Jesus got things done. Jesus would walk to a man who was lame and say, pick up your bed and walk. And after 38 years, he's lame. The man gets up and walks away with his bed. Nobody has seen results as quick as that. Jesus tells a deaf man to open his ears, and he starts to hear. He tells a dead man to get out of the tomb, who's been in there 4 days. And Lazarus gets up and gets out. And nobody has even touched the hem of Jesus' garment as when it comes to instant solutions. He walks into the middle of a storm and says, peace, be still, and it's a calm. He takes bread, and in his hands, it multiplies. But there are things in life that take time. And there's no way around it. I had a blood test. I had to wait a week to find out what the results were. To me, that's a long time. And then the doctor wanted me to take an ultrasound of my kidneys, and I said, I went in there. It's been over a week. Monday morning, Nancy will be talking to the doctor. And they say, you know, no news is good news, but until the news is good, it's still hanging in the air. In fact, you know, you can go to the doctor's office feeling sick, go in the waiting room. By the time the doctor gets you, you're healed. Because so many things take time. Joshua had to walk around the walls of Jericho 13 times before the walls came down. Now, I don't know how long a walk that is, but 13 times got to be pretty good. Naaman had to dip in the muddy Jordan River 7 times before he was healed of his leprosy. And I'm not aware of why. It just is. That's what God said through the prophet, and that's what happened. He didn't dip 6 times. He had to dip 7 times. God has his own timetable, and we got to work with whatever God God puts in front of us. And sometimes what is in front of us is a wait, a long wait. Look how long it took me to get old. When I came to Selma, I was a young guy. My hair was black. You know what's under my hat right there? Gray hair. And it's going. The point is that there are things in life that just take time. You can't put a seed in the ground and expect to wake up in the morning and have the plant fully grown. Things take time. And in our lives, we're going to discover that if we haven't already. You know, a virus or a microbe attacks your body, and your body goes into a defensive mode, and then it starts to work its plan to attack the virus or the germ. And until that germ is completely out of your system, you're not well again. But when your body attacks, it takes time, because healing is a process. Most healing is a process. In fact, John tells us in the 8th chapter about a healing that took place that Jesus was involved in that took time. We expect Jesus to simply say the word. He sends his word, a centurion's servant is healed completely that very hour. But this one didn't work that way. And that's what I want to draw your attention to today. Then Jesus came to Bethsaida, and they brought a blind man to him and begged him to touch him. They knew that Jesus was capable of doing things like this because he touched the leper, and the leper was cleansed. And so they brought the blind man to Jesus and said, Lord, just all you got to do is touch him. And so we read that Jesus took the blind man by the hand. That was the first touch. Took him by the hand and led him out of the town. Sometimes God has got to take you from where you are to get you out of where you are in order to get the job done that needs to be done. But the place that you are is the wrong place, and he's got to move you out. Jesus took him by the hand. That's the touch number one. Took him out of the city because he had some things he had to do. And I want you to notice this. The blind man was still blind when he was being led. Now, to make that an application, you got to understand that sometimes we love the Lord and the Lord loves us and the Lord is leading us. And even though he's leading us, we're still in the dark about some things because it takes time and a process for the light of the world to show us the light that he needs to show us. Sometimes it takes time. And so we're still in a situation where we're seeing through a glass darkly. We're blind and he's leading. That's why we shouldn't go around judging anybody. You don't know what he's doing. You don't know what he's doing in somebody else's life. He's leading them. It may look like he's blind, and maybe he is blind to you. But Paul said this, judge nothing before the time. Turn it over to God, let God do what he's doing. So he took him by the hand and took him out of the city. And it says that when he had spit on his eyes and put his hands on him, second touch, he asked him if he saw anything. And he looked up and said, I see men like trees walking. That's not exactly a healing. I'll tell you what actually happened. He was blind. Jesus put spit in his eye and he could see, but his vision was blurred. He couldn't focus. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes that'll happen to us. We got a touch by the Lord. The Lord has touched us, and there's some improvement, but the improvement is not complete. He needs to touch us again. The reason why we come to church is to be touched by the Lord. And the touch you got last week is not good enough. You need another touch today. And the touch you get today is not going to be good enough. You need to come back and get another touch and another touch and another touch. And, our life is going to be just one series of touches from the Lord because he's taking us somewhere. And in order to take us somewhere, he's going to take his touch. We celebrate our freedom in 2 days. And America is blind. There's some things we just do not see. I don't know why it is, but our kids in school do not see who the forefathers were who formed this union. They put aside the fact that these were God-fearing men. They used the Bible as their rule book, and they glossed over that, and we're blind to the fact that the people who put this together, this great country of freedom together, were people who loved God. But they don't want you to know that. The God of this world has blinded those who don't believe. The country is blind to the fact that Harvard and Yale used the Bible as their textbook. They don't do that anymore. They're blind to the truth of that textbook. And we used to have prayers in school, and prayers started every class, and now we don't have that anymore because after all, we don't need prayer, we can do it. And we're blind to the fact that there's power in prayer, and that prayer does something to the minds of kids and adults. Blind. You know, we are blind, in this country, we're blind to gender. We got little boys running around, not sure if they're boys, they think maybe they're girls. And little girls running around who think, well, maybe I'm not really a girl, I'm maybe a boy. I mean, and after all, if the courts say it's okay, you know what we need to do? Maybe we need to choose our age. And if the Supreme Court passes that, I'll be able to be 21 again. I'll tell you what the Supreme Court is blind about. They are blind about the fact that God gave us rules for marriage. And the rules won't change. It doesn't matter what the law is. The rules they will not change. Look at this number. 328,348. It represents the fact that this country is blind towards life. There were 328,348 abortions last year by Planned Parenthood. We are blind. We're blind. They took the life, but they're blind to that it was life that they took. But that's life. We need to pray for our country. I'm not turning this into a political seminar or anything. I'm just pointing out this is 4th of July weekend, and I wanted to point out the fact that we got scientists out there that have for years been sending rocket ships to different stars, different planets, and examining the stars and the constellations and the sun and astronomy, and the knowledge has increased exponentially. And we see the creation of God, and we are blind to the Creator. They see nothing but intelligent design out there, but they just can't see the intelligent designer behind it. So we're blind. Our vision becomes blurred. When our vision is blurred, we're out of focus. We can't see the things we should see. That's why this man, he saw men walking like trees, and if Jesus would have let him go that day, he would have spent the rest of his life bumping into things, bumping into people, tripping, slipping, falling, yet he was touched by Jesus. But Jesus wasn't finished. In a blurred state, sometimes people, because they don't focus in on things, they quit jobs they should have kept. They'll get married to somebody they shouldn't have married. They'll end up getting divorced to somebody maybe they shouldn't have gotten divorced. We do things. We get into bad relationships. We make bad decisions. We just go through life bumping into things because our vision is blurred. We can't focus in, and we try to live our lives, and we just lose sight of the fact that God would like to lead our lives, and God has promises for us, and so we keep bumping into stuff. Let me show you how you can be blind in one area and really clear-sighted in another. In the same chapter, Mark the 8th chapter, Jesus speaks to his disciples, and he says, "Who do you say that I am?" Peter quickly said, "You are Christ, the Son of the living God." Jesus said, "You're right. God revealed that to you. You know who I am." And right after that, Jesus tells his disciples, "I am going to be arrested, tried, and killed." And Peter rebukes him. There's no way, you can't do that. Peter knew who Jesus was, but he didn't know why Jesus came. Do you know why Jesus came? Do you know why Jesus is here? Do you know what Jesus is all about, or what he wants to do? What he wants to do in your life? Do you know he is here? He's here to open up your sight so that you can see things that you haven't seen before. He's here to give you clear vision where you have blurred vision. He's here to help lift your spirits. He's here to touch he's here to mend broken hearts. He's here to open prison doors. You got to know why Jesus is here. If you fall into that category, Jesus is here for you. I got to tell you, this man was honest. He told Jesus the truth. Said, "Lord, I see men walking like trees." And we need to be honest with God. "Lord, I just can't see it. I know you're doing something about it, but I don't see it. I know you're moving in my life. I don't see the plan. I know there's a plan, but I don't understand the plan. I'm just see through a glass darkly. I wish I could see a little bit better. I know you're talking victory, Lord, but I don't see the victory. I wish I could see it. I would like to see it. I would want to be the overcomer that you want me to be, but it looks like I keep stumbling, and I just, Lord, would you be honest with them? Just be honest." Too many times Christians can't be honest because if they were honest, they would have to say things that other people would gossip about. And sometimes we got to just get alone with Jesus. "Jesus, please help me make it through the night." I know other people think that I'm so much of an overcomer that this mountain is not a problem. But Lord, this mountain is a problem. And getting through this valley is not easy, Lord. And I know you're with me. I know your rod and your staff will comfort me. Lord, if I ever was a need for comfort, I need some comfort today. I'm struggling to. I need somebody to lead me to the valley. Being honest. The Lord will respond to honesty. The Lord can't be fooled with fluff. "How you doing?" "Great." Really? If I took my glasses off, I see you clearly. If I took my glasses off, you're just a blur of colors. Would you get in the car with me while I drive to Los Angeles in bumper-to-bumper traffic without my glasses? Would you feel comfortable? "No, Pastor Joe, your vision is a little blurred, and I don't think we could do it that way." Put your glasses on so that you can see clearly. The Lord wants us to see clearly. He's not satisfied with the fact that we see men walking as trees. You know, this man could have said, people say things like this. This man could have said, "Well, Pastor Joe, I'm not what I was blind. And I'm blurred right now, but I'm not what I'm going to be. I know someday I'm in the middle somewhere, but in the middle is blurred. It's not good enough to be in the middle. If you're in the middle, you need to get to the end where Jesus wants you to be. To be some people actually say, "Well, I'm not what I was, but thank God I'm going to be somewhere in the future." But that's not good enough. I need to be going into the future. I need another touch, Lord. I can't make it this way. I appreciate you leading me out of the city. I appreciate you putting spit in my eye and asking me what. I appreciate it. I need another touch. Could you touch me again? And he does. That was the third touch. Don't be satisfied with the second. We need a touch. Touch you need may be different than the touch that I need, but we all need a touch. We come to this place to be touched by the Lord. We need to be touched because we lost the joy, and he can bring the joy back. We need to be touched because we lost the peace, and he can bring the peace back. We need to be touched because we lost the assurance that we used to have, we don't have anymore. I need just, Lord, touch me so that I can face life the way I should face life, because I feel crippled now, and there's no reason why I need to be limping when you can touch me. I need another touch. Do you know when we will see clearly? This man, he saw men like trees. That's out of focus. But when we begin to see clearly, we're going to see Jesus on the tree. And on that tree, our eyes are open. When we see Jesus for all he is, high and lifted up, and we realize that he shed his blood on that tree, that blood brings us forgiveness, and that blood brings us assurance, and that blood brings us a peace that passes all understanding. I'll never be fully aware of what is going on around me until I can see Jesus on the tree. When I see Jesus on a tree, I realize what sin cost God. And I realize what sin cost me. And I realize the love of God because God's love is shed. That's what opens up our eyes. Your eyes are not open until you can see Jesus. When you see Jesus, you'll be able to see what you need to see. Looking unto him, the author and the finisher of our faith. I see Jesus. And maybe you're in a place where you need another touch. You came to the right place. This is the place where we get another touch. Sing this with me. Just another touch, Lord, from you, to help me in the trials I go through. Though dark may be the night, you give a ray of light. When I get a touch, Lord, from you. Let's sing it again. Just another touch, Lord, from you, to help me in the trials I go through. Though dark may be the night, you give a ray of light. When I get a touch, Lord, from you. One of the concerns I've always had in all of the years I've been in the ministry is to make sure it is clear. It's got to be clear. I don't want fuzzy concepts and fuzzy ideas floating around. I want this to be clear to you. God told Jeremiah, go down to the potter's house. I want to show you something. So he went down to the potter's house. He saw the potter put the clay on the wheel, spin the wheel, and start to form the shape of that clay. Then the Bible says this, and the vessel that he made of clay was marred in the hand of the potter. God's the potter. And the vessel he made was marred. There was some crack, something broken. If we would have heated the vessel, and it would have leaked. So the scripture says he touched it again. He touched it again. So he made it again into another vessel. I want you to see something. He made it again into another. I was it. That's me. Marred, broken, cracked, and he took me, touched me, made me again into another, but the another is still the it. The it is now another. I am who I am, but it's Christ in me who is the hope of glory. Yes, that's what I was, but he's doing something in my life to make me another. I need to be another. I was it. I'm still it, but he's putting a new nature in it. And now I'm another. And what he says about the other is that the other is an overcomer, more than a conqueror. The other can take on the world. The other can work against the enemy and stand against the enemy and fight against the enemy and speak against the enemy and call God's name down. The other, I want to be the other. You got to be touched again in order to go from it to another. Lord, touch me again.
He touched me. Oh, he touched me. And oh, the joy that floods my soul. Something happened, and now
I always end a message with a conclusion, because that's like me putting a period at the end of the message. I know in the story in Matthew, in Mark 8, the story ends with the blind man can see. But that's not the end of the story. That's the beginning of the story. We're just not told what happened. But so I use my imagination to think of how the blind man must have felt. We sing every once in a while a song that has this line in it. I called, you answered, and you came to my rescue, and I want to be where you are. You let Jesus touch you so that he can open up your eyes and your whole life turns around, and you're going to want to be where Jesus is. Wherever you are, Lord, I want to be around there. I want to be around you. 5 years ago, I rescued a lady from the shelter. And whenever we sing this song at church, I sing it to Lady's mind. Because I hear Lady singing these words to me. I called, you answered, and you came to my rescue, and I want to be where you are. All you got to do is get rescued from Jesus, and you're going to want to be exactly where Jesus is. Thank you for coming.